Hello, I'm Carl with Sherline Products, and today we're going to go over mounting the limit switch to the rotary table. So this is our rotary table. What we did was we tried to design it so that our limit switch mount and our trigger could all be mounted on the rotary table using existing holes and other features on the rotary table. So if you're buying the limit switch as a retrofit, what we do is we use the existing hole for the pointer. So you just have to remove the 632 screw in the pointer from the rotary table. Alright, and then we have our limit switch mount, and this is set up to use the same existing hole and one 632 button head screw to mount it onto your rotary table. It's radiused on the back side, so it conforms right to the outside of the rotary table. What we want to do is mount the limit switch first. So hold on to this for a second. Okay, the limit switch is mounted this way. So we got the mounting hole with the limit switch like this. And then we have the two number 2 sheet metal screws, self-threading screws, that go through the limit switch and into the limit switch mount. We put one in here, get it started. This threads in kind of tight into the mount, but the mount is plastic, so we want to get a good percentage of thread. So it is a tight fit to start. Once you get it in there, you're fine. Just a Phillips head screwdriver. So get one in and started, and get the other one in and started. And then snug both of them down. Right there is your limit switch mount. And then we're going to mount it onto the rotary table using the number 6 screw. Get my glasses on. Alright, there we go. Now I can see what I'm doing. What we're going to do is put this in just snug so we can adjust it once we get the trigger in there. Alright, so we'll put it pretty much square for starts, right there, just snug. This is the trigger. And the trigger has a flat bottom 832 set screw in it. We designed this so that it goes into the T-slot on your rotary table. We picked the 0-degree side to put the trigger on because that's generally where you're going to want to zero off the machine to. It might be a snug fit to start, but it will fit in there. So just align it with your T-slot and push it in place. And once it's in place, then you just snug down the set screw, the 832 set screw, to lock it in place. So right there's snug, and that guy's not going anywhere. With it all the way down in place, the top of the 832 set screw and the top of the trigger is below the top surface of your rotary table. So if you have something mounted on the top, it will be below that surface, and so will the top of the trigger. If you need to use this T-slot for something, you can just unlock it, pull it out, put your T-nut in there, whatever you need to do, and put this back in. If you take it out and put it back in, your home position is going to change a little bit. This is not, super tight tolerance because we want to be able to put, assemble and disassemble it easily. Okay, I'm going to hook up the A-axis limit switches. So that's connected there. Okay, I don't have the power to the stepper motor on right now, so what I'm going to do is go to my setup page and click on the password, click down here, and that gets rid of it. Now, setting up this is the same as the X, Y, and Z. You just adjust the limit switch mount until you get it to zero out where you want it. So first we're going to check the actual limit switch connection. So you have your A-axis home switch input right here, and right now it's showing low. When I engage the limit switch, it goes to high, so you do have a signal coming from your limit switch. Then what I'm going to do is rotate my rotary table, and what I would like to have is that when it's at zero on the limit switch, I'm at 90 degrees, nice and perpendicular across the face. Right now, if I have this on a mill, I can actually indicate this in. We don't guarantee that it's going to be dead on the money on zero every time. If you get it dead indicated in, then you're doing really good. Don't move anything after you've done that. So right now I'm going to loosen the limit switch mount. And right there, just by moving the limit switch mount, you have it going high right there. So right there is where zero is. And I went from low to high. I'm going to hold it in place and tighten my screw right here. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, now I'm going to move off of it and back on. I'm going to move it until it goes from low to high. Right there's high. This will actually be engaging in the opposite direction. So let's see, let's go from this direction here. That's off. Right there's high. And that's looking pretty square right there. So again, you can adjust by moving your mount a little bit one way or the other. There's no adjustment for the trigger. It is where it is. The other way you can adjust if you need to is to actually move the trigger off of the limit switch, and you can bend the little metal arm here out or back a little bit to adjust where the contact happens also. So right now this looks pretty good right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to connect my power to my stepper motor. So the power to the driver box is off. You don't want to connect or disconnect this with power on. So it's off right now. I'm going to plug that in. Okay, and right now I'm going to have to home out all 4 axes on my machine. So our mill is actually on the ground down below, and I'm going to go, it'll home out X, Y, and Z on the mill, and then it'll home out the A axis. So Control Alt home, oh sorry, power on. Now my A axis is moving. And right there's 0. So that's looking good right there. So one thing on the setup page, you've got homing, and if you have a 4th axis, when you get your mast, so it's set up for 3 axis, it's set up for 4 axis, but it's set up so that it only homes the X, Y, and Z. If you have a 4th axis, then we have to change the homing sequence so that it actually homes out the A axis as part of the homing sequence. Otherwise, it just homes X, Y, and Z and allows you to work with the mill without the 4th axis. So anyhow, that is your rotary table with the trigger and the mount and the limit switch, and we're in business. Thank you.